Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by asking you a simple question. Have you ever noticed that the things money can't buy are often ones that matter most? Love, integrity, peace of mind, good health, and lasting relationships. Now, don't get me wrong, money is important. It pays the bills, feeds the family, and keeps the lights on out there. But here's the truth: if you learn how to make money the right way, with purpose, integrity, and value, life starts giving you things that money alone could never buy. Out there. That's what I mean by make money everything free. Because when you earn your money through service, growth, and contribution, life rewards you in ways far beyond your paycheck. So today, I want to share with you 5 timeless principles that can help you make money, and in the process, experience a kind of freedom that money can't measure. Value comes before income, ladies and gentlemen. One of the biggest misunderstandings in life and in business is this idea that money comes first. That somehow if you just find the right job, the right investor or the right break, the money will roll in, and then you'll start focusing on helping people or creating real value. But the truth is completely the opposite. Value always comes before income. Money is not the cause, it's the result. You don't get paid for your time. You get paid for the value you bring in that time. The farmer's lesson: imagine a farmer who stands in front of his empty field, shaking his head, saying, I'll start planting once the harvest comes. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But that's exactly what many people do in life. They say, once I start earning more, I'll start giving my best, or once I get a promotion, then I'll put in extra effort. But just like that farmer, they've got it backwards. You don't get a harvest before you plant seeds. You don't get paid more until you become more. That's why successful people understand income follows impact. When you increase your ability to solve problems, to help others, to deliver excellence, your value rises and your income naturally follows. The 10-problem millionaire. Let me share a story. A young man once went to a wealthy entrepreneur and said, Sir, I want to make $1 million. Can you tell me how? The man smiled and said, Of course, it's simple. Just help 1 million people solve a $10 problem. Now think about that. That one sentence holds the secret to wealth. You see, you can make money in 2 ways: by serving a few people deeply, or by serving many people effectively. Either way, it starts with asking one powerful question. Out there, whose problem am I solving today? That when you focus on solving problems, not chasing money, the world starts chasing you. Out there, the invisible paycheck. There's a kind of paycheck you don't see. It's called the invisible paycheck. That's what you earn when you give your best even when no one's watching. A young waitress once worked in a small town diner. Every day she served customers with warmth, respect, and a big smile. One morning, an elderly man walked in, ate breakfast, and left her a tip. Not cash, but a business card. That man turned out to be the owner of a nationwide restaurant chain. A week later, she got a call offering her a management position. At 10 times her current salary, she didn't earn that opportunity because she asked for more money. She earned it because she gave more value, consistently, cheerfully, and genuinely. That's the invisible paycheck at work. When you treat every task like it matters, it will. When you give more than you're paid for, eventually you'll be paid more than you give. Stop chasing money. Start attracting it. Here's the truth: money is like a shadow. Chase it, and it runs. Lead with purpose, and it follows. Too many people are running after money as if it's the finish line. But money is just a scorecard. The real game is contribution. Let's take a look at the biggest success stories, from small business owners to global entrepreneurs. Apple didn't start by saying, let's make billions. They said, let's build products people love. Starbucks didn't start with profits in mind. They started with a mission to create connection over coffee. Even YouTubers, coaches, and freelancers who thrive today are the ones who focus on giving genuine value, not just selling quick promises. In every industry, the principle stays the same: serve first, earn later. Because when you focus on money, people feel it, and they run away. But when you focus on serving people, they feel that too, and they stay. The law of value exchange, there's a simple law that governs wealth. There, you can only receive in proportion to the value you give. If you want to double your income, double your impact. If you want to earn more, learn more so you can serve more. The world rewards competence, creativity, and contribution, but it punishes entitlement. That's why growth-minded people never say, I deserve more. They say, there, I'll become more. That's the difference between a paycheck mindset and a purpose mindset. Real life example. The barista who built a brand. Let me give you a modern example. A young barista named Carlos worked at a small coffee shop. There, his job was simple, make coffee and clean up. But instead of treating it like a job, he treated it like a craft. He learned about different beans. Out there, perfected the art of lat design, remembered customers' names, and created a positive experience for everyone who walked in. Within a year, customers came not just for coffee, but for Carlos. His employer noticed, gave him a raise, and made him a trainer for new staff. Later, there, Carlos started his own coffee cart and eventually opened 2 cafes of his own. His journey wasn't built on luck. It was built on value first. There, you are paid in proportion to your usefulness. That's the golden rule of the marketplace. You are paid in direct proportion to the value you bring to others. There, if you want to earn like a professional, stop acting like an amateur. If you want to stand out in your field, stop doing the bare minimum. The extra mile is never crowded. There's always room at the top because most people quit halfway. But those who go further, who serve better, who care deeper, they rise higher. The mindset shift. So here's the challenge for you today. Don't wake up tomorrow asking, how can I make more money? Wake up asking, how can I make a bigger difference? The second question automatically answers the first. There, start thinking like a problem solver, not an employee. Start thinking like a contributor, not a consumer. That's when opportunities find you. There, final thoughts on value. When you plant value in people's lives, you harvest wealth in every form. Money, trust, reputation, and peace of mind. The truth is, money will always come and go, but your value, your ability to serve, to uplift, to create, that's what stays. So remember this. The more valuable you become, the more valuable your life becomes. Focus on becoming, and earning will follow naturally. There, because when value comes first, income never stops coming after. Your attitude determines your altitude. Ladies and gentlemen, you can have the best education, there, the sharpest skills, and even the biggest opportunities. But if your attitude isn't right, none of it will carry you far. See, talent can open a door, there, but attitude decides whether you stay in the room. You can't control every circumstance, but you can control your response. And that one decision, how you choose to see and respond to life, will determine just how high you'll go. Because your attitude determines your altitude. The airplane truth, let's start with something simple. Have you ever noticed how airplanes take off? They don't lift off the ground by gliding smoothly. They rise against the wind. The wind that resists them is the same force that helps them ascend. Life works exactly the same way. Every difficulty, every challenge, every bit of resistance you face is not there to stop you, but to lift you if your attitude is right. Because attitude is not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about choosing faith over fear, growth over excuses, and gratitude over bitterness. The story of 2 salesmen, let me tell you a story. 2 shoe salesmen were sent to a remote village. The first man got off the boat, looked around, and saw that no one was wearing shoes. He sighed, wrote a note to his boss, and said, "Terrible market. Nobody here wears shoes." The second man stepped off the same boat, saw the same people, and his eyes lit up. He wrote back to his boss, "Amazing opportunity. Nobody here wears shoes." Now, they both saw the same situation, but one saw a problem and the other saw potential. That's the power of attitude. It doesn't change the facts, but it changes the meaning of those facts. And that changes your future. The world mirrors your mindset. Here's something I've learned through life and leadership. People don't see the world as it is. They see it as they are. If you walk around expecting rejection, you'll find it. If you expect people to cheat you, You'll notice every dishonest act, but if you walk with gratitude, optimism, and belief, the world reflects that energy back to you. You attract what you are. There, not what you want. There's a reason the wealthiest, happiest, and most fulfilled people in the world all share one thing in common: a resilient, hopeful, positive attitude. They refuse to let the outer world control their inner world. The story of a broken dream. Let me share something real. A man once dreamed of becoming a professional athlete. He trained for years, but one day an injury shattered his hopes. Doctors said his career was over. Now, there he could have chosen self-pity. He could have said, "Why me?" and given up. But instead he said, "If I can't play the game, there, I'll teach others how to play it better." He started coaching young athletes, pouring his heart into their training. Years later, one of his students went on to win a national championship. And during the interview, that young man said that I owe my success to my coach, the man who taught me how to believe in myself. The coach didn't lose his dream. He transformed it. That's what attitude does. It takes your pain and turns it into power. There, the choice, that changes everything. You can't always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose what happens within you. Every morning, you have two choices: wake up and complain, or wake up and commit. One drains you, the other drives you. Even in the workplace, there are two employees can face the same workload. One says, "Why do I always get the hard tasks?" The other says, "There, I'm grateful they trust me with responsibility." Guess who gets promoted? Your situation doesn't make or break you. Your attitude does. There, attitude in adversity. When times get tough, most people shrink, but leaders rise. I once heard about a woman who lost her job unexpectedly. There, she was devastated, a single mother with 2 kids. But instead of giving up, there, she started baking cupcakes from her small kitchen and selling them in her neighborhood. She didn't have fancy tools or big investors, just faith, grit, and a great attitude. Today, she runs a thriving bakery with 10 employees. When asked how she did it, she smiled and said, "Losing that job was the best thing that ever happened to me. It pushed me to discover who I really am." Oh, see, that's the thing. There, a setback is only a setup for a comeback if your attitude is right. There. Attitude and relationships. Attitude isn't just about success, it's about connection. Nobody wants to be around someone who complains all the time, blames others, or carries negative energy. But when you walk into a room with a spirit of kindness, optimism, and hope, people feel it, they remember it, they want to work with you, buy from you, and help you succeed. One study from Harvard found that employees with positive attitudes are 31% more productive and 23% more persuasive in business settings. Another study showed that teams led by optimistic leaders outperform pessimistic teams by 43%. That's not magic. That's attitude in motion. There's a story of perspective. A little girl was walking home from school one afternoon, struggling to carry a heavy book bag. A man passing by noticed her and said, "That looks heavy, sweetheart." And she smiled and said, "It's not heavy, sir. It's my homework. The same weight, 2 different meanings." There, that little girl had an attitude that turned burden into purpose. And if a child can do it, so can you. Attitude is a habit now. Some people say, "I can't help it. That's just how I am." No, friend, that's just how you trained yourself to be. Attitude is a habit. It's built day by day, choice by choice. If you feed your mind negativity, news, gossip, complaints, don't be surprised when your attitude sinks. But if you feed your mind inspiration, good books, gratitude, faith, growth, you'll rise higher than you ever thought possible. There, just like your muscles grow through exercise, your attitude grows through intentional focus. From attitude to altitude, think of your attitude like the wings of a plane. You can't control the wind, the economy, the people around you. There, the world's chaos. But you can control the angle of your wings. If your nose is pointed upward, if you look for solutions, stay hopeful, and believe in your purpose, you'll keep climbing. But if your nose is down, if you dwell on problems, blame others, and doubt yourself, you'll crash every time. Your altitude in life, how far you go, how much you achieve. There, how deeply you impact others is determined by one thing: how you think. Final thoughts. So, my friend, here's the truth. There, your attitude won't just change your mood. It will change your life. It will shape your relationships, your opportunities, your health, your peace, and your income. When you choose gratitude over greed, faith over fear, and courage over comfort, you set yourself apart from the crowd. There, because storms will come, winds will blow, obstacles will appear. But if your attitude is strong, you'll rise above every one of them. Remember this, out there, you can't always choose the direction of the wind, but you can always adjust your wings. And that's how you fly higher than you ever imagined. Because at the end of the day, your attitude determines your altitude. Discipline turns dreams into dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, dreams are beautiful things. They give us vision. They give us hope. They make us wake up with a reason to live. But let me tell you something. Dreams without discipline are just wishes. And wishes don't build empires. Wishes don't feed families. Wishes don't change lives. If dreams are the blueprint, then discipline is the builder. Their discipline is what turns an idea in your head into money in your hand. The bridge between wanting and winning. Everyone wants success. Everyone wants freedom. Everyone wants the reward. But not everyone wants to pay the price. Discipline is the bridge between wanting and winning. Out there, you can't have a strong body if you don't show up at the gym. You can't have financial freedom if you spend more than you earn. You can't have peace of mind if you don't control your habits. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. There, and that's the difference between people who only dream and those who do. The story of the violinist. Let me tell you a story. A young boy once dreamed of becoming the world's greatest violinist. He told his teacher, "One day I'll play in the biggest halls, and people will stand to applaud me." The teacher smiled and said, "That's wonderful. Now let's begin." He handed the boy a violin and said, "Play this same scale 500 times. The boy's excitement dropped instantly. "But that's boring," he said. The teacher replied, "That's not boring, that's building." Years later, that same boy became one of the most celebrated violinists in Europe. When asked the secret to his success, he said, "The key wasn't talent, it was doing the boring things long enough to become brilliant." That's discipline. Doing the things most people won't do, so you can live the life most people never will. Discipline creates freedom. Now, that might sound strange. How can discipline, which sounds restrictive, actually give you freedom? Simple. There, because without discipline, you become a slave to your impulses, your laziness, your distractions. But with discipline, you become the master of your life. There, discipline is freedom in disguise. The disciplined person sleeps better, earns better, loves better, and lives better because they've learned to control the little things that build a big life. When you master your mornings, you master your mindset. When you master your money, you master your future. When you master your emotions, you master your peace. Every bit of freedom you crave comes from the discipline you avoid. The story of Mary Kay. Let's take a real life example. Mary Kay Ash, founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, started her business with only $5 and after retiring from a sales company that never promoted her, even though she had trained half their team. She could have felt bitter. She could have quit. But instead, she wrote down everything she had learned, how to sell, how to lead, how to serve customers, and turned those lessons into a business plan. She worked long hours, disciplined herself to call every potential client, trained her first 5 consultants, and built a culture based on excellence. Today, her company generates billions. Her dream came true not because she wished, but because she worked every day without excuse, without quitting. Small steps out there, big results. People think discipline means doing something huge. It doesn't. It's not about big leaps. It's about consistent small steps. Their success is rarely about intensity. It's about consistency. Think of it like this. If you save 10 every day, out there you may not notice a difference. Tomorrow, build relationships, not transactions. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share a truth that has shaped every great success story in history. People don't do business with companies. They do business with people out there. And they don't stay loyal to a brand. They stay loyal to a relationship. You can have the best product, the lowest prices there, and the flashiest marketing. But if people don't trust you, none of that will matter, because at the heart of every success in business and family, they're in life. There's one unshakable principle: build relationships, not transactions. The coffee shop story, let me tell you a story. There was once a small coffee shop tucked between two big franchises. The owner, an older gentleman named Sam, didn't have fancy equipment or big advertising. But every morning, customers lined up at his door, not for the coffee, though it was good, but because Sam knew their names. That he'd greet them with a smile and say, "Morning, Tom, how's your daughter's soccer game?" Or, "Lisa, there, your favorite cinnamon roll just came out of the oven." He made people feel seen. Meanwhile, the chain stores nearby offered coupons and discounts. There, but they couldn't match what Sam gave for free: connection, warmth, and care. 10 years later, those big franchises closed down, but Sam's shop, it's still there, thriving. Because relationships are the currency that never loses value. They're the human touch in a digital world. We live in a world where people can order anything with one click. Food, clothes, even friendships online. But in that convenience, we're starving for something real: human connection. That's why the most successful people today are the ones who know how to build trust before they ever make a sale. A handshake, a sincere thank you, a handwritten note. These may seem old-fashioned, but they're timeless because they touch the heart. In a world full of algorithms, authenticity is the ultimate advantage. People might forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. The difference between selling and serving. There's a huge difference between selling and serving. Selling is about you, your product, your profit. Your goal. Serving is about them, their needs, their dreams, their problems. And here's the irony: when you focus on serving, selling becomes effortless. A real estate agent once said, "My business exploded when I stopped trying to close deals and started trying to open relationships. That one shift changed everything." You don't need to chase customers. When you care about them, they'll chase you. Because trust isn't something you demand. It's something you earn, one act of service at a time. The waiter who became a millionaire. Let me share a true story. A young waiter named Kevin worked at a busy restaurant. He wasn't the fastest or the flashiest, but he treated every table like family. He remembered birthdays, wrote thank you notes, and even helped one customer's elderly mother to her car after dinner. Years later, one of his regular customers, a successful businessman, called him out of the blue. He said, "Kevin, I'm starting a new venture. I need someone I can trust. Come work with me." Kevin accepted. Within 5 years, he was managing operations and earning more than 10 times his waiter's salary. Why? Because he built relationships, not transactions. Out there, his kindness was his business card. His consistency was his advertisement. You never know who's watching your attitude, your service, your sincerity. Out there, relationship capital, the wealth you can't lose. Now, let me talk about a kind of wealth that doesn't show up on your bank statement. A relationship capital. Relationship capital is the network of trust, goodwill, and reputation you build over time. You can lose your job. You can lose your savings. You can even lose your company. But if you built genuine relationships with honesty, respect, and compassion, you'll never lose your opportunities. That's why some people bounce back from failure faster than others. They've invested in people long before they needed anything from them. And that's the real secret. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll never struggle to get what you want. The power of listening, building relationships, isn't about talking more. It's about listening better. Most people listen to reply. Few listen to understand. When you take the time to truly listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart, you build bridges that last a lifetime. A study from Harvard Business Review found that people who practice active listening in business, conversations are rated 40% higher in trust and likability than those who dominate the conversation. Listening makes people feel valued, and when people feel valued, they become loyal. Relationships beyond business. Now, this principle doesn't only apply in business, it applies in life. You want a better marriage? Build the relationship, not just the routine. There, you want better friendships. Show up when it's inconvenient, not just when it's easy. You want your children to respect you. Connect before you correct. Out there, relationships are like gardens. If you water them only when you need something, they'll dry up. But if you nurture them with consistency, they'll grow fruit for years to come. And the fruit of strong relationships is peace, joy, and unshakable support. Things money can't buy. The long game transactions are short term. Relationships are long term. Transactions focus on numbers. Relationships focus on names. Transactions earn profits. Their relationships earn loyalty. If you only chase transactions, you'll always be hunting. If you build relationships, you'll always be harvesting. One of the most successful entrepreneurs I know said, "I never worry about competition because my clients aren't just customers, they're friends." That's what happens when your business and your life become about connection, not collection. The reward of relationships, here's the beautiful part. When you build genuine relationships, you don't just make money, you make meaning. That you become someone people trust, someone people talk about, someone people remember. And that's legacy. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to remember the size of your paycheck, but they'll always remember the size of your heart. They'll remember how you made them feel seen, respected, and cared for. That's what makes life rich. Final thoughts. So, my friend, if you want to build a life that lasts, if you want to make money that matters, build relationships, not transactions. Treat every person you meet as someone who deserves respect, not as a stepping stone. Offer help before it's asked. Give thanks before it's expected. Out there, because the truth is simple. People may forget what you sell, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Build people, and the profits, peace, and purpose will build themselves. That's not just a success strategy. That's a life philosophy. Give more than you take, ladies and gentlemen. We live in a world that often tells us the secret to success is to get more money, more followers, more recognition, more things. But I'm here to tell you something that flips. It's that idea upside down. If you truly want to live a rich life, give more than you take. That's not just a nice saying, it's a law of life. Because the more you give, the more you grow. And the more you grow, the more life gives back to you. The law of the harvest, let's start with a simple truth. You reap what you sow. A farmer doesn't say, once I get a harvest, then I'll start planting. He plants first, sometimes in hard soil, under hot sun, not knowing exactly when the rain will come. But he plants anyway, because he knows that giving to the ground comes before getting from it. Life works the same way. You must give time, effort, care, and love before you receive reward, success, or gratitude. The world pays you back in its own time for every seed you plant. The secret of the givers, there are two kinds of people in this world, givers and takers. Takers might seem to win at first. They grab the credit. They take shortcuts. They hoard what they have, but their success is short-lived because it's built on scarcity and fear. Givers, on the other hand, create something lasting. They give ideas, help, encouragement, and opportunities, and life multiplies it right back to them. Why? Because when you give freely, you become magnetic. People want to work with you, follow you, support you, and buy from you. Generosity builds trust. Trust builds loyalty, and loyalty builds legacy. The story of the salesman and the sandwich, let me share a story. A traveling salesman once stopped by a diner for lunch. The waitress serving him was having a rough day. Her tips were low, and her patience was wearing thin. The salesman noticed, smiled, and said, "You seem tired. Out there, you're doing a great job. I appreciate how hard you're working." He didn't say it to flatter her, he meant it. Her eyes lit up. For the rest of his meal, her energy changed. She smiled more, served faster, and even started laughing with the customers. When he left, she thanked him and said, "Sir, you made my whole day better." Now, that man didn't spend a dime more than he planned, but he gave something priceless, encouragement, and that small gift changed her entire shift. That's what giving more than you take looks like. It's not always money. Sometimes it's time. Sometimes it's kindness. Sometimes there's just noticing someone who feels invisible. The ripple effect, when you give, you start a ripple. One act of generosity can inspire 100 others. Out there, a businessman once paid for a struggling student's college tuition. Years later, that student became a successful doctor and opened free clinics for children in poor neighborhoods. That businessman didn't just change one life, he changed thousands. The beauty of giving is that it multiplies beyond your sight. You may never see all the lives your kindness touches, but that doesn't matter. Because real giving doesn't look for applause, it looks for impact. The science of generosity. Now, let's talk about something interesting. Even science agrees that givers win. Studies from Harvard and the University of Zurich show that people who give through volunteering, mentoring, or simple acts of kindness experience higher levels of happiness, lower stress, and even live longer. Generosity literally rewires your brain to feel joy. When you give, your brain releases dopamine and oxytocin, the same chemicals that make you feel loved and fulfilled. So yes, that giving is not just good for others. It's good for you. You were designed to give. That's why it feels so right when you do. The power of giving in business. Giving isn't just for personal life. It's the soul of great business. The most successful entrepreneurs and companies understand this. They don't just sell, they serve. They don't just profit, they provide value. Think about companies that offer free education, mentorship, or social programs. They may give up short-term profits, but they gain something far greater: loyalty, respect, and long-term success. Customers can sense whether you care about their wallet or their well-being. And once they feel your heart, they'll give you their trust. Because profit follows purpose. Out there, the story of the teacher and the student. There was once a teacher who spent her evenings tutoring children for free in her neighborhood. She never asked for recognition. She just believed every child deserved a chance. Years later, one of those children became a successful engineer. At an award ceremony, he dedicated his success to that teacher. When she was called on stage, she said something that silenced the room. "I only gave him my evenings, but he gave me back my purpose." That's the beauty of giving. You never lose when you lift someone else. Give without keeping score. Now, some people say, "I've given so much but I don't see the return." Let me tell you something. Giving is not a transaction. It's a transformation. You don't give to get. You give because that's who you are, because contribution is your calling. And here's the truth: the universe has a perfect memory. Every seed of kindness, every act of generosity, every moment of service, it will come back to you multiplied when you least expect it. So don't keep score. The blessings you plant may take time to grow, but they will grow. Start where you are. You don't have to be rich to give. I'm out there. You don't have to have everything figured out to make a difference. Start where you are. Give a smile. Give your time. Give a helping hand. Give a word of hope. Mother Teresa once said, "If you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one." It's not about the size of your gift. It's about the size of your heart. The return on generosity, when you give more than you take, that you create an invisible current of good that carries you further than ambition ever could. You attract better people. You build deeper trust. You sleep better at night. Your relationships grow. Your influence grows. Your peace grows. And before you know it, so does your income. Because when you help enough people get what they want, you'll always have what you need. Final thought. So yes, make money. Yes, build your dreams. But never forget, the richest people in the world are those who've learned the secret of giving. When you give your best, your time, your heart, your energy, life gives you back blessings that money could never buy. So as you walk out of here, remember this, that your real worth isn't measured by what you earn, but by what you give. Give encouragement, give kindness, give value, give love. Because when you give more than you take, you'll never be empty, you'll always be full. And that, my friends, is the truest form of success. So yes, make money, but do it the right way. Serve others. Keep your integrity. Work hard. Stay grateful. Give freely. Do that. And you'll discover something beautiful. When you make money with purpose, everything that truly matters, joy, peace, love, respect, becomes free. And that, my friends, is the richest kind of wealth there is.